Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Yena Akshara Samamnayam Adhigamya Maheshwarat Kritsnam Vyakaranam Proktam Tasmai Paninaye Namaha Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam Vagartha Viva Samprikto Vagartha Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So just a note that our Kathopanishad class will start at 8:10 as usual. Okay. Yeah. So we are in this topic of Nishtha. So within Kṛdanta, right? We've been seeing. So within Kṛdanta, we've been seeing that these Krit pratyas are added to make this dhatu, to make this root, it makes it into a new pratipadika, right? So the root becomes a new pratipadika when we add these pratyas. We saw Kritya, Krityaha, then we saw Kartari Kṛdanta, then we're seeing Nishtha, right? So Krityaha was Karmani Kṛdanta mainly, and Bhave. Then we saw Kartari Kṛdanta, and now we're seeing Nishtha, and we're seeing Kta, right? Kta is we see Karmani, occasionally is Kartari, right? So we'll see that again in a moment, but it's default Karmani, occasionally is Kartari, and we have that additional sense of past tense. Oops. We have the additional sense of past tense. So here we have it written here. So, right, Karmani, it denotes the karma, and it can occasionally denote the karta when the meaning is gatyartha, when the meaning of going comes, something which goes. Or when the dhatu is intransitive, meaning it doesn't take a karma. Akarmaka, it does not take a karma. Okay, and bhave. So as an additional sense, past tense comes as default, right? So karmani default, past tense default. So then there's these other occasions. Okay. We saw the content of kta is just ta, ta, right? Kakara is it letter, so you're just left with ta. Now, some of these other rules which we saw is that when the dhatu is the ending, dakara ending, dhatu, both the dakara at the end of the dhatu and the ta of kta become na. Okay, so prasad, kta, prasad, sad, the dakara becomes nakara and takara becomes nakara. Okay, dakara becomes nakara, takara becomes nakara. It's like a little rhyme. And then we get prasanna. Prasannavadanam dhyayet sarva vignopashantaye. Right? It means one who has been pleased. Or easily we say smiling. Smiling is the shortcut, but really, literally, it means one who has been pleased. Now, in the last class, there was a question. I was saying, I was confused that it was karmani. It is correct that it is kartari bhute. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. Kartari bhute. So we saw that the default is karmani bhute. Bhute meaning past. But kartari can come when the meaning is gatyartha, meaning going, or when it's akarmaka. Now, sad dhatu, it's pra upasarga sad dhatu. Now, this, in Sanskrit, this word does not take a karma. It is akarmaka. So in English, you can please someone else, but in Sanskritam, this prasad dhatu does not take a karma. So you won't get that second case word often, right? So you won't get that karma, that object of being pleased. Okay. Another rule which we saw is with the nakara or makara ending dhatu, that nasal letter, meaning the na or makara, is elided, meaning removed. Right? So gam plus ksta, this makara is removed. So then we're just left with gata. Gakara and takara becomes gata. Okay, are we okay with this so far? Any questions before we move on to new material? Okay. So gata means, well, gata, right? So this is gatyartha. It has the meaning of going, right? So that means it can be either karmani or kartari bhute. If it is karmani bhute, it's the object which has been reached. If it is kartari bhute, then it's talking about the karta, the one who is going in the past, or one who has gone. If we do bhave, then it's just, there's no one who, or there's no object, it's just going in the past. Going in the past has happened, right? We're not talking about someone going, we're not talking about something which has reached. We're just talking about going has happened in the past. Okay, so there's three ways this translation can happen depending on the context, depending on what the speaker is trying to convey. Okay. Okay. So there's some, oops, sorry. I want this back. Okay. So let's do one at a time. Okay. So now there's some additional context and some additional rules. Also, there's some questions. Let me take those questions. So here, Nilamaji ma and ka of ta is elided. Yeah. So the kakara of ta is it letter, and hence it is removed. And the last nasal sound makara is also dropped. Right? So both go. And then you're just left with gata. Har Prasadji, go ahead.
Mahodaya, one question. Now, Vidita plus Atma. So in Vidita, this will be Bahurvihi Samasa, I guess. And in Vidita, the word, so there is a dakara there. Why is not that dakara before ta is not becoming nakara?
Yeah, we'll come there. We'll come there. Okay.
Dhanyawada.
If I don't get there, please remind me. But I think we will.
Okay.
Okay. So chavarga at the end of a dhatu becomes kavarga. Okay, there's all these rules, but once you see them, you'll notice that these patterns will come up over and over again. Okay, because you're not making the word, right? You're gonna find the word there in the text. So as long as you're able to go backwards, then you'll know it's kta. Okay, so chavarga at the end of dhatu becomes kavarga. What the heck is chavarga? What the heck is kavarga? Chavarga, karvarga, we know, right? Varga just means the group, right? So chavarga, cha, cha, ja, ja, na. And kavarga, kha, kha, ga, ga, na. Right? So that's just all that's we mean by kavarga and chavarga, those groups. So charvaga, when any of that group, starting with cha, is at the end of the dhatu, it becomes kavarga. So cha, cha, ja, ja. So jakara, tyaj. The kakara of ta is 8th letter, so it's removed. So you're just left with ta. Now the chavarga is replaced by kavarga. So jak, you see here, ja is replaced with the one in line with it. So ja is replaced by gakara. Does that make sense? Yeah. This is a sandhi rule, chohokuhu. We've actually seen this, but a while ago. So jakara gets replaced by gakara. So, and then eventually it changes again, where the gakara becomes kakara by a different rule, and it becomes tyakta. Okay, so jakara becomes gakara. Okay. And then what happens is it becomes the hard, it becomes the hard in the same group that goes along with it. So ga becomes kakara. So ja goes to ga, becomes ka. Okay. So tyagta becomes tyakta. Tyakta. Similarly, much, the chakara is going to become kakara. So mukta. Bhuj, the jakara becomes kakara, bhukta. Yuj, the jakara becomes kakara, yukta. So they mostly all are becoming kakara. If it's mahaprana, then it'll be kakara. Mahaprana ka. Okay. But do these words look familiar? Mukta, bhukta, yukta. These are all familiar words that we've seen in Vedanta class. These are all kta ending words. The meaning of tyakta is right? It's karmani bhute, right? So it's the object which has been, tyaj means to abandon. So it has been abandoned or has been released. So the object which has been abandoned or released. Okay, so chavarga becomes kak. With this is so if this is too much, that's okay. But just take as much as you can from these. These are all different Sandhi rules, which we're just kind of quickly looking at. The idea is that we still hold on to the main idea of kta. Karmani and past is the main default. It can be kartari, pointing to the doer, when it is gatyartha, or it is not taking the karma, akarmaka. Its main default is past tense. And there are some occasions it can be present tense, which we'll review in a moment. Okay. Sha, shak, ending dhatu, sha or sha ending, the last letter of the dhatu becomes shakara. So whatever it is, it will become shakara, and the ta of ta becomes murdanya takara. So your tongue has to go up for both of them. So nash plus ta, nash ta, the shakara becomes murdanya shakara. Your tongue has to go up. So nash. And then the takara becomes takara. So nashta. Okay, like attracts like. So the murdanya, then the other one will also become murdanya. So nashta. Similarly, you get ish dhatu, to desire, becomes ishta. That which has been desired. Drish plus kta becomes drishta. The object which has been seen. Spash plus ta, spash becomes spashta, that which has been made clear. Okay, is this spashta? Is this clear? Okay. Hariprasad, do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Now, is it not, for example, drishta? Can you hear Mahodaya?
I can hear, yes.
Yeah. Drishta, I thought it should be agent who has seen. Mahodaya?
Yeah, I'm just thinking for a second. So drish dhatu, so the only time we would take it as agent, it is when it's gatyartha or it's akarmaka. Here, nash is akarmaka. You can't perish something. So that's why it's agent. But here, drish is you can take a karma. It's karmaka. So that means it's going to go by default, it'll be karmani. So the object which has been seen. Okay. What happens to kakara? Oh, earlier, what happens to kakara? So for example, if it was jakara, it would have been gakara, and then it would have been kakara. But kakara doesn't change then, if it's kakara. Okay. I don't know if that, okay, that made sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm speaking a different language, and then I remember I am speaking a different language. We're talking about Sanskrit, so that's okay if it sounds like a different language. Okay, so you see this as well. Okay. Basically, what happens is it says that what is in the fourth class, Jabagadash. Here, let me do it here actually. Okay, let's look at this alphabet chart. All of these here will become is that correct? Yeah. So the fourth of the class becomes third of the class. So these become, no, that's not. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So fourth of the class becomes third of class, meaning it just becomes from Mahaprana to Alpa Prana. So Ja becomes Ja, Bha becomes Ba. So the Mahaprana becomes Alpa Prana. The air goes away, takes out the air. Okay. And then the Takara of Kta becomes Dha. Okay, Mahaprana. So for example, Shuddh plus Kta. Okay, Kakara of Kta is it, so it goes away. Now, this Takara is replaced by Dhakara, DHA, Dhakara. Then this Mahaprana becomes Alpa Prana. So they kind of almost switch roles. So Shuddh becomes Alpa, so Shuddh, and Da becomes Shuddha. This is an Kta ending word. Okay, similarly, you see Siddh, Siddhatu, to accomplish. You get the word Siddha, the object which has been accomplished. Buddha plus Kta, Buddha. That which has been known or that which is known. Lab plus Kta, this Bakara becomes Alpa Prana Bakara, and this becomes Dha. So Labdha. Rab, Bakara becomes Alpa Prana Ba, and then this Takara becomes Da. So Rabdha. So the meaning of Shuddha is the object which has been purified. Or you can see it in Bhave, purifying in the past. Right? Just purifying itself. Okay, so quickly before I take questions, we've seen all of these different sections. So these are just simple Kta ending words, where you're just adding them together. I'll come back to this because this will answer Hariprasadji's question. We've seen this, the last Da of the Dhatu becomes Ta, and the Ta of Ta becomes Nakara. Okay, so Bid plus Ta, Binna, Ad plus Ta, Anna, etc. The last nasal of the Dhatu is removed, so Makara goes away, so it becomes Gata. Or Nam plus the Nata, Yam. By the way, Nam dhatu is a karmaka, so you get both karmani and kartari. Yam hasta becomes yata, han hata. Okay, and this we saw today. The last letter of the dhatu takes kutvam, becomes kakara, right? So much becomes mukta, bhuj becomes bhukta, tyaj becomes tyakta, etc. So these are all the rules. Now to answer Harprasadji's question about vidita, okay. Now there's two dhatus where you get an extra ikara entered. It's called an it agama, meaning just the ikara comes, you add this ikara. It comes to the kta with these following dhatus, pat dhatu and vid dhatu. So pat should just be patata, right? But you get this extra ikara and becomes patita. So pat plus ta, and then you get that extra ikara, so it becomes patita, and vid also becomes vidita. That which has been studied, that which has been known. Okay. Neelamaji, you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, what happens to pash plus ta, because drush plus ta becomes drushta?
Mhm. So pash becomes drish.
Oh, I see. Got it. Pash becomes drush.
Pash becomes drish.
And there are some words which I recall, like yajgnyanam.
So other way, drish becomes pash when it's in lat lakara.
Drush
so-
becomes pash, okay.
Yeah, drish becomes pash.
But then pashyati, it won't become pashta, right? Like drushta.
No, you don't see that.
Okay.
So it only becomes when you're doing the lat lakara, becomes like pashyati. Or even, I mean, there's other lakaras. When you add the lakara, then it becomes pash. So even lot lakara becomes pashya.
Okay. And the one you had last one you had talked about, nash.
Viditatma and patita.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think it's related to that. My question is, it's like when you have these words like yajgnanam, right? The ja, you had talked about the ja.
Mhm.
Where did that go?
Yeah, I can pull that up.
Okay. Then ja becomes the previous line.
Here where ja,
Ja becomes ja, kind of.
yeah, correct.
Yeah. So
Mostly you see it here where whatever, so chakara or jakara will become ka.
Yeah.
So
So when
mukta, bhukta, etc. Yukta.
when you use the word like yajgnanam, right? Yajgnanam. Tajgnanam, yajgnanam. So there's a ja there. So it was yat and it becomes gnanam. I mean, this is just, I just thought of that. Does it become yat plus gnanam becomes yajgnanam?
So I'll have to think about that. I have to write that out. But I don't think this, so cha varga is followed by jhal. So cha varga is followed by jhal. Yeah, so it should be, yeah, tyak jnanam, like that.
Tat gnanam. Tat plus gnanam becomes tajgnanam.
No, so that if it's tyaj, for example, it'll become kakara.
I don't understand that.
But this is not relevant here. So let's
Okay,
keep
all right.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's not
Thank you.
relevant to this.
Sorry about
That's a Sandhi rule question, which is fine. But let's stay with this. Yeah. Okay. Harprasadji.
Mahodaya,
Hmm.
yeah, I have two questions. One is the numbers is it the numbers like 8, 4, 20 and all, is it the same number as in our part 2 of the book, Sandhi book?
Yes, correct.
It is, so it is making
It is.
one-to-one
So-
reference.
Yes. So for reference, these are the actual sutra numbers.
Correct.
And this is referred to in the Sandhi book. So if you wanted to look at that more carefully, because I'm
Right.
not even in that mindset right now.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just want to make sure. And secondly, how can you say nama is akarmaka?
Yeah, correct. So that's a great question. So I had the same question. So when you think of nam dhatu, we say to salute. And in English, you salute someone. But if you think of even in when we learned in the basic foundations, nam dhatu, when you get namaha, for example, you never get second case.
Or the fourth case.
You get fourth case.
Correct.
So the object, it doesn't take a direct object in that way. In Sanskrit, it's the recipient. It's a little bit different than an object.
Okay.
So that's why we call it akarmaka,
Okay.
because you don't get that direct object that what we indicate by the second case. You get that in Sanskrit, you get fourth case.
Okay.
So in that way, it's technically akarmaka.
Okay. So it is a special case then.
Yeah. So that's just, yeah. So some of these are that's just the how it is in Sanskrit. They're just
Okay.
akarmaka. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dhanyavad.
But you won't take the kar. So let's look at an example before we end. So we saw one last time. So let's look at this one. Devadattaha gramam gataha bhavati. Okay, so if you didn't understand anything, you can wake up now. We're here. Okay. Devadattaha gramam gataha bhavati. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So bhavati, right? Bhu dhatu lat lakara kartri prayoga. Pratama purusha ekavachanam. So someone is. Okay, who is? We can say Devadatta is. Okay, so Devadatta. So this is Devadatta is Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam Kartri to Bhavati. Devadatta is. That we're okay with. Okay. Devadatta is. The Kta Anta word is Gataha. Okay, so let's look at Gataha. Dhatu and Pratyaya, this is Gam Dhatu and Kta. Right? What is denoted? What is denoted? So it's Gatyartha, meaning it's going to be Kartari. Okay, that's tricky. Okay, usually these are default to Karmani, but unless it's Gatyartha or a Karmaka, it's going to be Kartari. So what's denoted is the Karta, the doer. Okay. So Devadattaha is Gataha. Gataha means one who has reached. One who has reached. So it's Kartari, it's talking the person who has reached in the past. The Devadatta has reached Gramam. So Gramam is Grama, it's Dvitiya Vibhakti Ekavachana, right? 2-1. It's Karmani Dvitiya to Gataha. Okay, let's think about that. Devadatta is the one who has reached what? Reached the village. So, Devadatta, Kartri Pratama to Bhavati, Gataha is Samanadikaranam with Devadattaha, right? These two are the same case, they're referring to the same person. Devadatta is the one who has reached Gramam, which is Karmani Ditya to Gataha. Okay, is this okay? Okay, no. So,
Mahodaya, can you explain the last sentence, please? You did it last time. Would you mind going through that again? The undenoted karma.
undenoted, denoted is a little tricky, okay? So don't get too confused here. And then we'll finish with this. Okay. Now, undenoted karma takes second case, okay? So we'll start there. Denote means pointing to, okay? Not pointing to. Okay, so for example, in the example, with reference to gam, to go, ta pratyaya is denoting the karta, okay? So this kta is referring to the karta, while the karma, grama, is not denoted, it's not denoted by the verb. Meaning it's not the verb is not connected to it. It's not denoted, it's not pointed to by the verb. Since it's not pointed to by the verb, so it's called undenoted. This undenoted, but it's still a karma, undenoted karma takes karmani ditya. Basically, there's two levels of a sentence. First level of the sentence has to deal with the verb. Okay? Devadatta is. Devadatta is the one. Okay, so this has to deal with the verb. Now there's a second layer, which we have to look at Kṛdanta. And then connected to the Kṛdanta, we can get different karaka. So gataha, you can get, right, karta. Oh, sorry, let's not say that. You can get the karma of gataha, right? The object of where they reached. So you look at the level of the sentence, Devadatta is the one who has reached what? Reached. That can take an object. It can take an object being the village. So we have those two levels of the sentence. This is not karmani ditya to bhavati. It's karmani ditya to gata. Okay, I'll take questions if there are, but Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay, so if anyone has any questions,